Welcome, fans, to the start of the 2025 Rivalry Tour. We are starting here in Carolina, and we are very excited to get into that. But first, let me introduce my co-hosts. Actually, before that, I got to shout out our sponsor, Lucarelli Law. If you're down in Florida and you need a lawyer, shout out Dom Lucarelli, especially in Naples. Otherwise, he'll hook you up with someone else. But definitely give Dom a shout out, and thanks for everything, Dom. PJ, what's been going on, man? Excited to get back on the mic.
Yeah, definitely. Pumped for the start of Rivalry Tour. I didn't get a chance to actually be on it, just only listened last year and watched. So I'm pumped and got a new person to add to it this year, and Sam for Carolina. So it'll be a very perfect time to bring him in this year to add to it. So it should be a fun start.
Yeah, good work on that, PJ. Great job.
Of course.
Yeah, for sure. We got a very shall I say, a star-studded lineup for the Rivalry Tour this year. Exciting stuff. And that, of course, means the season's right around the corner. But we got to find out what's going on with our rivals, what to expect in the upcoming season. And no better people than people as crazy as we are covering a team that they don't play for, right? So that's what I always say is we talk about a team that we have no control over, we don't play for. So we're going to pick the brains of other people like us, and we're really looking forward to it. Coach, you got a little bit of a sunrise in the background. We're getting a treat tonight. Sunset. I mean,
trying to enjoy this last bitter days of summer. Labor Day weekend this weekend. We got hockey starting up again at Stony Brook. Practice tomorrow night. Should be pretty exciting, and try to get a few more rounds of golf in while the weather's decent, and that's about it. You had the nice. You had the little workshop fair this weekend, you and Lindsay. That went well.
Yeah, that was an awesome time. Shout out to Armoriso Design on Instagram and Little Ed's Workshop, which is, if you're watching on the top left of the screen there, we have a ton of sports memorabilia and like beach, nautical themes and stuff like that as well. And we also do like any custom designs or sign work, business cards, anything like that. Everything's made out of wood. For the most part, I would say 95% of our items are made out of wood. So if you guys can think of anything to make or any custom designs, definitely come check us out and shoot us a message. But other than that, for my actual full-time, I guess, career or whatever you want to say, I'm heading down to Puerto Rico tomorrow. And as everyone knows, or most of you guys know, a good friend of our show, Mark, Officer Mark over there at Blue Line Blue Shirts, is not hooking me up with his place. Unfortunately, he's not able to do that, but he hooked me up with his friend or another fellow police officer or retired police officer, Austin Glickman. So in his retirement, he has a house in Puerto Rico that he Airbnbs. He actually saved me the Airbnb fees. I just Venmoed him the true price. So hooked me up with a really good price on a very nice Airbnb in Puerto Rico for the next couple of days. And he also hosts a podcast called The Muster Room, where he interviews ex-police officers or first responders about like crazy incidents that they survived or they had to respond to or things like that. He said he was down at the World Trade Center today filming 3 new episodes. I didn't get a chance because I was literally having this conversation with him 5 minutes before we got onto the show, booking my Airbnb. Shout out to Austin Glickman. We definitely will check it out. He said he's got a full camera crew that follows them around and does these interviews for YouTube and stuff. So we'll definitely have him on the show at some point, do a little crossover. And he said he hosts a Ranger game every year with about 300 to 500 attendees for law enforcement night. So we're definitely going to get involved with him with that. And I also gave him a shout out, which is another announcement that we're about to give, that he's welcome to join us for our annual, our suite that we're going to host for everybody. Unfortunately, it's not going to be opening night this year. But we locked in October 12th in the same suite that we had last year for the same price. All the prices went up this year, but we're going to keep the price at the same. And like I said, it's not opening night, unfortunately, but it's still going to be a great time. It's a Sunday, October 12th. So reach out to us, reserve your ticket. I know a lot of people last year already reached out to me and reserved the ticket. So they're definitely going fast. But yeah, I mean, you guys excited for our opening night suite? You have anything to say? I just kind of went on a ramble about Austin and the new podcast and all that good stuff.
No, I'm pumped. I mean, I didn't unfortunately get the chance to make it last year. I had my own tickets before the suite. You guys announced it, but I remember hanging out with you guys before, and it was, just even fun hanging with before. And so it'll be a big game. They're playing Washington. It's the second home game of the season. So the Sunday too, it'll be easy for everyone to get in and get out, and it should be a fun. I'll be there. Cousin Ed will be there. Both of you will be there.
Yeah, we will definitely have the whole crew. It'll be a lot of fun. Shout out, is Hirsch coming?
He should be, yeah. As far as
Hi,
I know,
Hirsch, if you're in the chat, I'm putting you on the spot. You better be there. Including in the ticket price, similar as last year, we're going to have an item from Little Ed's workshop. Last year we had rally towels and koozies. Probably do something similar, or maybe even the same, but an updated design, of course. And yeah, you said the Capitals, so I had to reach behind me and get the design that I put together that didn't sell at the fair with Ovechkin and Gretzky, the gold record, and the stack comparison plaque. I don't know what you want to call that, but
yeah, that's sick.
Pretty nice design out of the shop. I was a little surprised that no one really, I don't want to say no one really asked about or paid much attention to it, but that's pretty much it. No one really asked about or paid much attention to it, or really even talked about it or anything, So I thought that was very strange. I thought it was really nice. Put that together kind of last minute Saturday night, and it's up for grabs if anybody wants it. Yeah, shout out to Paul. I posted the Skyline MSG seating chart today on Instagram, and I got a ton of feedback, a ton of likes, a ton of views already. People messaging me asking about it. So yeah, shout out to Paul. We'll definitely talk about it. We'll hook you up with a good price whenever you're ready. So yeah, looking forward to it. We had a lot of fun with the craft fair. So looking forward to maybe pushing it a little harder, having some more free time to do it.
I mean, I think that Ovechkin thing would go more with Washington fans. You'd have to have a Capitals fan come by, and they would buy,
Well, you weren't there yet when we were setting up, or when we first started on Saturday. It was literally our first customer. I had an Ovechkin, just like small jersey plaque, just the red jersey, and the guy came over. I also have I think it's already still packed away. I have I made like a bigger Ovechkin, like gold record, like 895 in the Capitals font and everything. And he was eyeing that. He's like, "Oh, that's really nice. Like, how much for that? Whatever." And then he saw the red Ovechkin. He goes, "Actually, that's going to match my man cave perfectly." So, I don't really remember if he was from Washington or whatever the story was, but like an Ovechkin jersey plaque to a guy that it was a Washington Capitals fan was my first sale at a boardwalk fair in Long Beach, New York. So that was kind of weird. I gave him I gave him the podcast information. So if you're listening, buddy, thank you for being our first sale of the weekend. What are you going to say?
It was Long Beach's home of the New York Rangers.
And I don't think I sold any. Oh, I sold Lundqvist plaque, and a few people were eyeing the Gretzky Liberty plaque, but that one didn't go.
We got to shout out our Florida friends that came by 2 years in a row. We had a nice conversation with them.
Yes, of course. Our Florida fan, Paul, which is it's like the weirdest thing. Whenever he's in Long Beach, or whenever they're in Long Beach, we just happen to run into each other. I don't know if they're expecting to run into us or if they know where we're going to be at some point, but it's funny. It's always a pleasure to see him and talk Rangers for a little while. And we wish you guys nothing but the best to try to move back to Long Island and move back home and come visit with us more often. And hopefully they'll be able to join us at the outdoor game, right? The Winter Classic down in Florida. So hopefully get that going, Paul. And hope to see you soon again.
That's about it. Let's shoot right into some content.
What do you want to quickly? There's one piece I wanted to quickly cover before we bring Sam on. That was an article that the NHL.com is doing their 32 and 32, where they're reviewing every single team before the season. And there was finally some new quotes from Mike Sullivan. A couple nuggets in there that are worth probably discussing, because we were kind of waiting to see really the training camp. We thought we were going to find out some information. But a couple things I should point out, shout out Dan Rose and NHL.com if you want to check it out. There's a couple different pieces within the whole 32 or 32. But the one thing, we knew that Sullivan went one-on-one to Sweden to visit Mika, but it turns out he also had one-on-one conversations at home with JT, Vincent Trocheck, Will Cooley, Adam Fox, Lafreniere, and others. So not only was he just talking to the guys on the phone, he was going face to face with a lot of these guys to probably set the tone and get some understanding, which is definitely what you want as a new coach coming in.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like that. I mean, maybe the other coaches did it, but we didn't really hear that much about it. So it's interesting to see that Sullivan did that. It's I'm a big fan of that. I think that's great.
I mean, I think it's important that he's like going to the right guys. Like he already sees who the leadership really is, I guess, in a way, and he's showing that he cares. Like he's not just finished with his career just because he was very successful in Pittsburgh. He's still trying. He's not just mailing it in, just signing that big ticket, I guess, like towards the end of his career, like similar to a pro. Like he's not just going to sign that big ticket and take the season off. Some guys on the Rangers, So yeah, I think it's a big sign of like the effort, or lack of a better word, that he's putting in trying to get through to his players or the big players on the Rangers. That none of my plaques sold, so I have like all of them available if anybody wants. The JT Miller one's actually really nice, I must say. So,
I mean, it's funny. I was discussing this with someone over the weekend. I don't remember who I was talking to, but like I'm coming into a new season coaching. Practice starts this week, and I'm like, oh, I was talking to one of our friends at a wedding we went to over the weekend. He coaches football at Bayshore High School, defensive coordinator, and we were talking about coming up, getting ready for practices, and he's like in the same situation I am, where like he wasn't prepared for it to start so soon, and he had to jump right into practice. And just the commitment level that these guys have is like, I can't even imagine what goes through their mind. So for him to stay at that, to be at that level and be coaching at that level, your competitive nature has to be off the charts. Almost, I'm going to say probably equal to as a player, maybe even more, because they didn't really succeed in the NHL, most of them. To that level. Not all of them, but most of them were ex-players that didn't really hit that high level in the NHL. They might have little careers or decent careers. So their competitive level to prove themselves might be even more. And to do it for 8 months, 10 months in the playoffs it's grueling. I'm thinking about what I'm going to start doing next week. And I'm like, I'm tired.
Well, Coach, I mean, it helps that he's making $5 million a year.
I get that, but it's still, yeah. I mean, trust me.
And he's probably flying on a PJ to go visit Mika in Sweden, and so not this still, PJ. He's not flying.
I wish.
It's still a lot. It's still a lot, and there's a lot of pressure. Yeah, it is $5 million, but the pressure to come to New York and
forget it. Yeah,
new team it's a lot of pressure. It's have to be mentally challenging and tiring. So I give him a lot of credit for coming right out of the gun, making these meetings, setting them up. This way there's no questions that these certain players have coming into camp. They know what their role is going to be pretty much, and what's expected of them, I should say, and they're set. So there's no question marks. Now, I mean, you got to give credit to Laviolette a little bit. He put him on the wing with JT Miller, kind of his idea, or whoever's idea on that staff. And, I guess Sullivan's going to stick with it, according to Elliot Friedman, right? That
was also Dan Rosen, part of the same thing. Great Rosen, coach. That was smooth. So part of that whole thing was there was like a 3 questions part of this whole thing, where there was 3 prominent questions for each team. And the first question was, will Mika be a center or right wing? And I'll read the quote from Sullivan in case no one saw. I mean, I think a good amount of people saw it, but just in case. Quote, as part of the conversations, one of the things he expressed to me is that even though we lined up on the wing on the faceoff, he felt they were interchangeable in the sense they could read off each other. They both have a comfort level playing down low in the defensive zone. They both have the comfort level in the faceoff circle, with one being a righty and one a lefty. He expressed that to me. I would envision us exploring that combination if they can potentially build off the chemistry they've already built. So,
you look at it this way. We've talked about it, I think, pretty regularly. First of all, to have 2 centers on the ice at once is an advantage when they get kicked out of the faceoff circle, an important faceoff, if they do. Second, center's pretty much only center for the faceoff.
Yeah.
Once the game starts, especially in the system that Sullivan's going to have, where it's the first man in on the forecheck and so forth. It's not like in the old days in the 70s where the center went in last. The one, there was more of a this wing goes in first. And you had the game was a waiting game. Now it's the first guy in's going. So it's pretty much two guys are going to be able to fill that role as responsible, quote unquote, centermen on defense, which is where it's more important because they help out down low. And if JT Miller gets caught in the offensive zone, Meek is back. He'll cover down low. It's not going to be a question of I don't know what to do. JT Miller is pretty aggressive on the forecheck on offense while the puck's in the zone. So he may get caught more often, and Mika will be back. It'll be there. He's not going to be saying, I'm not the center. It's just a responsibility issue. And I think it'll transition well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because this was the big question, at least to me, going into camp. Not only the battles we talked about with the young kids and on defense where they're going to slot, but this was huge because it changes the lineup so much. So with Mika on the wing, the top six is probably as good as it gets and up there with any team, really, if you look at the talent on paper. I know on paper means nothing. But on the flip side, it makes the third line a lot weaker. You're putting a lot of pressure on Parsonen to be a third-line center when the guy has even played more than 40 games in a season and has been scratched more than he played with the Rangers. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they line it up. And Sullivan did put a caveat in that article and quote that they are three good centers. So if something's not working or maybe the third line isn't what he wants, they will stack the centers too, which ultimately makes
I'm sure in an in-game situation, he might change it up in the third period or change it up to get a little boost. But, I thought Parsonen had a nice little run. I know he scored a few goals. I think maybe with the opportunity, he might be one of the guys that steps it up a notch that we hope. There's got you everybody keeps saying giving the young guys a chance. Well, here's their chance. Prove it on the third line. Make that third line strong, come out on fire, have a little pride. And Trocheck being on the second line gives him more ice time. You put Trocheck as a third line center, you're going to take a little time away. I mean, he'll get penalty kill time, but still that takes a little ice time away from him. So that gives your top six going to get a good amount of time, your six best players. It's a tough decision, but we'll start it off. We'll see how it goes. I don't think it's a bad thing.
Now, do you worry, though, by putting Mika on the wing, essentially you're taking a spot now away from one of those kids like Berard, Othman, and Perreault? Now, with Mika at the wing,
they're not first line. First of all, let's just squash that hole. They're not first line players. I'm not
saying they're. My whole point, though,
you're not taking their spot. Then, if anything, you're giving them a spot on the third line to prove themselves.
Right. You give them one spot, though, compared to if Mika was at center, they would have two spots. You're taking
where? What's the second spot?
So originally there'd be a top six right wing spot for Perreault and or Othman to give it.
They're not top six guys yet. They didn't prove anything.
Well, but what if they do? My question would be, what if they do?
Question mark in your top six. That's a big. Maybe they could earn that by the middle of the season, but they got to prove it on the third and fourth line. Then they get a promotion. But they're not a better player than Trocheck to move him down to the third line and put Perreault on the first line, second line. How does that figure in? Trocheck, everybody's saying he should be captain. You're going to put him at the third line and give Perreault a promotion without even earning a spot?
Well,
Perreault may not even make the team. He might be in the AHL.
Right, but I'm just saying, what if Perreault and Othman both have amazing camps and preseasons? Then you're going to say one of them you got to go to Hartford?
That's a big if. Let's see what happens. Then they make that decision. If anything, I feel it gives them a chance to make the team more as a second line wing or third line wings. You have two wing spots open for the battle. And they could boost that third line big time if they reach their potential quicker than we think. Then maybe in a year or two, when Panarin doesn't sign, you have guys develop into that position or Mika's position on the wing, or we don't know what's going to happen in a year or two as far as trades or signings, but they got to earn it, and to me, there's less pressure if they come out on a third line situation than if they get boosted up to the first or second line and they don't thrive. Now the pressure's even more. Then they're gripping the stick tighter and it's even more pressure. Can they handle it? Maybe, maybe not. But if you want to compete and get off to a hot start, I don't see it unless they have a phenomenal camp person. I'm a little more old school. I'm not just giving him first line minutes because Perot's
No, and
superstar.
I wasn't insinuating that. I'm just saying you're taking away a potential spot. Like there was potentially 2 spots for them. Now there's only 1 because Radish is going to be the third line spot. So
I wanna put a pin in this for now because I want to
Yeah.
definitely weigh in on this, and I haven't had a chance to. But we're already 20 minutes in, and I don't want to keep our guests waiting or our
Oh,
fans
sorry.
waiting because no, absolutely not. This is a great discussion. That's why I want to put a pin in it. We can revisit it once our guest is out of here. But let's get into why the fans are here. Let's get into why the fans are here for our rivalry tour entering the season. So let's bring on Sam Wallace, the host of the Caniac Report, Florida Hurricanes, Carolina Hurricanes freak, fanatic, if you will, and a rising star in the podcast world. And you're coming from the Hockey Pod Network, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah, I believe we had maybe your co-host on the show last year because he was from THPN, unless there was another Hurricanes podcast floating around there. But I know you don't work with anybody anymore, correct? You're just a solo show?
Yeah, just a solo person right now. I used to have a co-host, but not anymore.
Okay. Well,
I give you a lot of credit because I can't.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Be rivals because it's got to be hard just to keep talking for. Maybe it keeps the show under an hour, as opposed to hours, 2 hours.
It's the passion that keeps going.
Nice.
Yeah, that's great.
Too.
So before we get into like the actual like the Hurricanes and stuff, why don't you plug your show? Tell the fans where they could find you, and tell us like why you got into it or how you got into podcasting.
Yeah, so you can find the Caniac Report on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and also on YouTube as well. So just follow those handles. And how I got into podcasting, well, it kind of started out because I followed the Hurricanes back in 2006. That was the year they won the Cup. And I've always been a huge fan, and growing up as a Hurricanes fan, I started to have those strong opinions. I was like, you know what? I'm going to I want to start a podcast. And it was the same time where I was friends with my co-host. He and I have been friends for a long time. He's a huge Hurricanes fan as well. And that's when I was like, hey, you want to do a Hurricanes podcast? So that's where it is right now.
Sam, are you originally from North Carolina?
Yes, I am. Born and bred.
When did you start, loving hockey? When the team
won the Cup.
When they won the Cup, that brought the fan base out big time?
Yes,
that must have been real exciting.
Mm-hmm.
How far are you from Raleigh? Or are you in Raleigh or close to the arena?
So I live in Cary, and what's funny, there's an inside joke amongst Hurricane fans saying, well, I guess all the Rangers fans live in Cary, North Carolina. But I live in Cary, and it's 15 minutes away from the arena, which is great because
Nice.
I have the full season ticket member package with the Hurricanes. So very devoted.
Which is probably the cost of like 1 month of me and Coach Ed's Ranger season ticket package. So congrats, good for you on that one. I'm jealous on that front, but yeah, much different atmosphere or whatever you want to call it down in Carolina compared to the ripoff at the Garden. But that's very cool, man. So you go to every game, or you try to share some of your tickets, or what? How does that work?
I share some of the tickets. Now this year's going to be different with my co-host leaving, but he did season tickets too, and sometimes we do giveaways on the podcast. So
yeah, we do that too as well sometimes.
Yeah, it helps. So people like free stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Going to a game for free, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew, but me and Eddie were down there. We went to a Ranger game down there. It was a great experience. I fell in love with North Carolina a long time ago when I golfed down there. I think Eddie was like 2 years old. I'm a big fan of that part of the country. And we had a great time down there. I thought Raleigh was a nice little town, city, little compared to New York, but we had a great time down there. Did a few of the breweries and stuff and rode the scooters around town. We had a great time. I loved it. Food was great.
Where'd
Great
you
tailgate
golf?
atmosphere too.
I golfed
Yeah.
at a place called Wood Lake. I since have tried to look it up. I think it went out of business. It was
Oh, man.
29 holes around a lake community, and it was one of the
Okay.
best things. That just the morning sunrise, playing golf, the weather I loved. I always that was always a dream of mine to move down to North Carolina, but I don't know if it's going to happen. But I love that part. I love golf, so now that hockey's there, I could definitely live there if I could. But
Yeah, golf is prominent here. It really is.
Yeah.
You have Pinehurst, which is one of the best.
oh yeah,
areas
I've been
for
to
golf.
Pinehurst. I never played there. Eddie's been there, right, bud?
Yeah, I played there a few years ago with my buddy Ben.
Yeah.
It's pretty unbelievable the setup there, no doubt. Do you play, Sam?
No, I do not play.
Ah.
Me neither.
All right.
Well, we have
Okay.
a question right off the bat from Gaza for you, Sam. What's your favorite Canes jersey?
Since you're in one right now.
I am in one, but there's one right next to me, and it's framed. I'll shift over. I know there's a bit of a glare, but there are
Whitney.
Yes, Ray Whitney, the Wizard. And what's interesting is the reason why it's framed is because it has all the signatures of the players that won the cup back in 2000.
Oh wow.
Nice, man. So he's for you guys just listening on audio, he's got a framed Ray Whitney white Hurricanes jersey with wow, all the players. Did you buy that or did you accrue those signatures yourself over the years?
I bought it. It wasn't cheap,
Okay.
but I was like, it's worth it to me.
I would imagine
that's
so.
great.
But why is it a Ray Whitney jersey?
That I don't know.
Is there a story
but
behind that or you're not sure?
I'm not so sure, but because the person I bought it from was friends with my sister, so I didn't really know the person that much. But I mean, Ray Whitney, he was good here. I mean, there's a reason he's called the Wizard. He was a very good player.
What? Who was the goalie on that?
Enemies, but
Who was the goalie on that team?
Cam Ward.
Yep, I was gonna say Cam Ward.
It was a rookie too.
Yes, it was.
That's crazy.
And the Rangers connections, Laviolette was that coach. Did he sign that jersey?
Yep. No, he did not. But it's all the players minus the head coach.
Fair enough.
All right, well, let's get into it. I mean, I think I got to ask just the first question. I mean, I've got to address the elephant in the room. Are you excited to have Keandre Miller on your team?
I am cautiously optimistic. That's what I like to say on my show.
You're welcome on this show. You're welcome on the show anytime. You're welcome on the show anytime. I mean, I'm sure you haven't listened to any of our episodes or anything, but I'm probably the biggest Keandre hater out there. Coach Ed, close second. I mean, PJ's definitely up there. I mean, he let us down strong on this podcast, no doubt. So we were obviously very glad to ship him out, and we were very surprised that he went to a conference or a division rival, nonetheless. Did that surprise you as well, or like how do you feel? I mean, you kind of already said how you feel about it, but like expand on that a little bit. What are your thoughts on that situation?
Well, so we knew we needed to get a defenseman, and the reason why is we had two defensemen going to the free agent market, in Dmitry Orlov and Brent Burns. Obviously, they're with Colorado and San Jose now, but we knew we needed to get a defenseman, and we also back toward the trade deadline. We rewind to that. We got lots of picks in that Dallas trade that sent Mikko Rantanen to Dallas, and I knew we were probably going to use those picks somewhat to some fashion to probably either get a defenseman, get some forward help, and we eventually obviously made that trade with you guys, which was, I mean, if you look at the trade, other than Scott Morrow, it's a kind of a form of an offer sheet, and I don't know if you guys heard, but Elliot Friedman actually said the Hurricanes were eyeing on an offer sheet, whether it was going to be Keandre Miller, or there were even rumors of, I mean, I think Elliot Friedman pretty much said that they might were going to do it, Evan Bouchard from Edmonton. So they're going to do an offer sheet, but I think the Rangers were like, you know what, we'll do the trade. So I think that's just what happened.
Yeah, and then
Interesting.
Spitballing off that, I don't know, I know you mentioned before the show that you were sitting in on an interview with Brenda Moore. Is there any talk about where Keandre's playing? I know Daily Faceoff seems to have him paired with Slavin. Do you have any insight to that and what your thoughts would be?
So it wasn't with so the person that interviewed Brenda Moore, I've had him on the show plenty of times. But I had another person, different person, and he's connected to the Hurricanes as well. But he did tell me that when it comes to the usage of Miller, that they're probably, because we have more left-handed defensemen than right-handed, that the Hurricanes are looking to probably use Slavin as the player playing on his offside. And if he is, then I do think it's probably going to be Miller and Slavin as that first pair.
And would you like
It's
that
very
pair?
interesting.
I want to see how Miller plays, and as a Hurricanes fan, we've had new defensemen come in before that have not played well in the first 20 games. It's just part of how Brendan Moore's system is. But what's interesting is that there's a video that the Hurricanes official Twitter released, and they said they saw a lot of Brady Shea-like elements in Keandre Miller. So that's kind of my question for you guys. Do you guys see that?
He's got the skill.
I personally thought Brady Shea was a pretty good, responsible defenseman. I thought he was decently physical, if that's the right word, adequate. I don't see that in Keandre, and I don't think he's a number one pair defenseman yet. But that'll be interesting to see how he could step up into that role. I mean, I think Slavin can definitely handle the offside. He's smart enough, and he's a good enough defenseman, obviously. He showed that in the Four Nations, for sure, on the world stage. But it's going to be interesting to see if he can make up for Keandre's defensive liabilities. That's going to be the key to me. But
that's what I was going to say. My biggest thing for me is, I mean, I'm sure our fans are probably sick of hearing me ramble on about him, but I mean, I coach defense alongside with coach at the club college hockey level, so nowhere near the NHL, obviously. But like, my biggest thing is, like, I could tell, like, he doesn't have any defensive instincts or defensive awareness. So like, even playing with a player like Slavin, I think that's going to make Slavin worse in a way, because he's going to have to be even better defensively, making up for a player like Keandre, who I really don't think he prioritizes the defensive side of the puck at all. And that's like horrible for a defenseman. I've said it a million times about Erik Karlsson over the years, all the Norris trophies that he won. I think I've gone on about him since I was a kid. I just never enjoyed or watching him play, no matter how good he is. And Keandre's on that similar path. Like, even if he becomes that offensive stud that Karlsson was, like I said, like, you just can't win a cup like that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was going to say that Shea, they definitely have the skating. There's no doubt Miller can skate, which is, I think, why Carolina likes that, because their system, it seems to me, they need guys that can move. Yep. And it seems like Shea, this offense took over and blossomed a little bit in Carolina, where it really wasn't here. Not that that was his really responsibility at the time, but I'm curious to see what Miller, because Miller does have unbelievable talent. Like, I mean, call a spade a spade. He does have very athletic ability and can score some crazy goals. So I'm curious to see from there. But my question to kind of follow up to all this for you, Sam, was Carolina seems, correct me if I'm wrong, to seem to play very heavy man-on-man, like very strict all up and down the ice. And I know when Laviolette was here the last 2 years, that was his main primary system here, and Keandre really struggled. So I'm really curious, kind of like you said before, the defensemen have struggled early on with Carolina's system. I'm very curious to see if he can fit in that way.
Yeah, I am too. Again, that's why I'm cautiously optimistic. But I mean, we were able to get Brady Shea, and we saw how good Brady Shea was. I mean, there is some hope there in Keandre because of how we turned Brady Shea into.
And what do you think about that contract? I mean, not only the trade, what they gave up, but what about the contract that they gave him to extend him there?
I think right now that is probably a bit of a pricey contract. Now, we're also in the day and age where the cap is going to be going up and up and up throughout the several years going forward. So I think right now it's pricey, but depending on obviously how he plays, because that's the big thing, I think that contract could be a very, very good contract for the Hurricanes.
But yeah, that with the salary cap going up, I mean, you can't argue that at all. A defenseman of like, I guess, his potential, yeah, for sure. But I mean, like I said, not going to harp on it at all. We could definitely move on from it. With the added back support will help Key too, without a doubt. I mean, on the added back support on the Russian stuff, but below the goal line is also a big thing for me, as well as a coach or even like as a player. I mean, the willingness for Keandre or the non-willingness of Keandre to go deep into the corners or to battle for pucks or come out with the puck is just like it's almost like non-existent. At least it was last year. Last year was horrible. The year before that was okay. And I mean, we were very high on Keandre for a whole season. I mean, we all said like he could be the next Victor Hedman. But then
especially after that playoff.
Yeah, especially after the playoff run. And then slowly the physicality slowly just like was taking a dip and then non-existent, like I said. And if you're going to play defense, you have to go behind the net and below the goal line and make those plays. But we'll see. We'll see what happens if he's got the added coaching, or maybe Brendan Moore can talk some sense into him and tell him specifically what he needs to do. And maybe they got the coaching staff that'll help along the way, but we'll see what happens. We'll have to have you back on about mid-season to see what your thoughts are and see if you have the same frustrations I do. Because as you can see, I'm this passionate. He's not even on the team anymore. I should be happy, but I'm still just like, God, like what the
My question is, obviously you're on a day-to-day basis watching the Hurricanes. Is Brendan Moore, I would picture him as an in-your-face type of coach if you're not doing the right thing.
Oh, he is. He
Okay.
definitely is.
Now, my question is, I don't see Keandre handling that very well. In my opinion, that's going to be the big question mark to me, because I deal with some players when you're in their face and they're not that type of player, they go and pout. And boys will be boys, no matter what level you're out at. That's how I see him personally. And I see him like a Tony DeAngelo type, only not with that offensive success that Tony DeAngelo's had. He's got the weakness on the defensive side of the puck like Tony DeAngelo, but I don't think he's as offensive minded. He's got the skill, but you got to add the skill with the mind at the NHL level. And I don't know if he's going to, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to watch. I wish you luck, but I don't wish you luck.
Well,
I don't at all.
It's interesting.
If you're out of the division, we would be talking differently, buddy, but I'm sorry, we can't.
It's interesting you touched on DeAngelo, because when we had him, again, he was playing with Slavin top pairing minutes. I mean, he really excelled. So that's like two ex-Rangers that played really
I hate
good.
to give DeAngelo any credit at all, but like even him, I could say like he's got that grit. You know what I'm saying? Like he'll go into the corners. He'll even fight if he has to. You know, like Keandre, towards the end of the season, maybe, or the end of his tenure with the Rangers, maybe he just wasn't emotionally there or something. But he just didn't have that passion at all. DeAngelo at least like cares a little bit. He might let that out the wrong way, but you know what I mean?
He can.
Yeah.
I don't know. DeAngelo didn't excel against the Rangers in the playoffs that year.
Chirping.
I mean, I'm sure he did good the regular season as far as stats. Obviously, we don't pay attention again on a day-to-day basis like you do, but you know, it is what it is. My big thing is it comes down to crunch time in the semifinals, in the conference finals, and the finals. That's when the true champions come out. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on.
I know you touched on this a little bit, but moving past, I guess, like the potential of pair one being Miller and Slavin, who else do they have? Who else do you guys have to look forward to for the rest of the core, fill out the rest of the defensive core?
Well, there's one defenseman. Again, cautious optimism here, but he's projected to be a top two defenseman. He's not there yet, but he probably will. And that's Alexander Nikishkin, who started in the playoffs. We kind of threw him in the fire for doing that, but it's going to be
Sometimes that's
interesting.
how it works. You don't have much time to think
Yep.
about it. You just got to play.
Yep, exactly. But Nikishkin, he's like every scout that I've read about him saying that he's going to be a top star defenseman in this league. So it's going to be interesting.
So, I mean, I'm drawing a little bit of a blank here. I should have the roster up, but other than Slavin, what other veteran D do you have? I mean, Burns is gone, right? So what else are you guys working with?
Well, so another defenseman who I would say he is on the power play, he is just fantastic. He's very good. He got over 40 something points with us this past season. Shane Gostisbehere. I think he's really good. I think Sean Walker is really good. I thought he kind of elevated his game in the playoffs for us. And Jalen Chatfield, to me, is like Slavin, but he can skate. Like, he is fast. So I still think the Hurricanes have one of the I'm not going to say their D is the best in the league, but I think it's a very good solid D core.
Yeah, I mean the defense. I mean, I've been saying about the Rangers as well. You don't really need it to be a star-studded defensive core or anything like that. You just need like a good system, which obviously Brenda Moore has. So Coach Ed and I obviously we preach like a defensive system as a whole as a team. Like you don't need to rely on your defensemen. It should be everyone on the ice contributing at once. Before we move on from the defensemen, though, guys, do you guys have any other questions for Sam?
Yeah, I do. Obviously, with the Caniac trade, we got to talk about what the Rangers got back. They got draft picks, but the big piece, and it kind of surprised me because it at least seemed during the day on July 1st that it was going to be just picks, and they got Scott Morrow back. And from what I read, he at least come January or mid-season last year, Scott Wheeler of The Athletic had him ranked number 1 for you guys. So my question would be, what are your opinion on him? Do you feel it's fair to say, kind of some risk on both sides, like the Rangers trading Keandre in division, but also Carolina giving up on a young, good asset like him?
Well, so with Scott Morrow, I mean, obviously the Hurricanes are in win now mode, and Scott Morrow, he did come in mid-season, and there's offensive potential there with him. Now, the defensive side, he needs to work on. I think the biggest thing you guys are probably going to be concerned with the most is probably his skating ability. But the guy's still young. And I'm not going to write off a young defenseman yet. It's just with him being like 22 years old now and the Hurricanes are in win now mode, it was just one of those things where, well, we already have Nikishin coming up and a couple of other defensive prospects. He's kind of expendable, So that's how I view it on Scott Morrow. I mean, I hope he blossoms with the Rangers. I'm not a big Rangers fan in any means, but
what about Chatfield? Was Chatfield always a second pair defenseman?
Yes. But there are times where he can be like a number 1. He's a very good shutdown defenseman who I think is the best skater on the back end.
I never noticed that skating ability that he had that you're raving about. I'll have to try to watch him a little closer.
Yeah, number 5. He was number 5.
I know who he is. I just never thought that he never stood out.
We lost you, Coach.
But I wanted to just
not like I said. He never. I never only seen him on TV really, but he never seemed to me like Brett Hedigan.
Oh, Brett Hedigan's great too. Oh my gosh!
No, I know he was a phenomenal skater.
Yeah, he was great. But Chatfield, I would say watch one Hurricanes game that's not against the Rangers. Chatfield, you'll see his speed. You just will.
All right, I'll keep an eye on it. I'll try.
It seems to be like an effortless. Like it doesn't look like he has to skate hard, like a lot of effort, but he just glides up and down the ice, like kind of like Werenski's like that too, where it doesn't look like he's actually moving, but all of a sudden he's up the ice so fast. These guys just have that natural ability. But my last thing on Morrow was, I don't know if you're like an analytics guy or whatnot, and I know there was a lot of talk about Morrow when he got forced in against Florida because of Chatfield's injury, that he was on the ice for 5 goals against. But if you look at the underlying numbers, he was on for 8 high danger chances for and only 3 against. And his Corsi for was almost at 56%. So it was really, if you look at it, it was like bad goaltending that led to more of the goals against and him being responsible. Would you say that's fair?
Wait a minute. PJ's blaming the goalie?
I'm only saying what the stats say.
Blaming the goalie, PJ? How come you could blame
I
that
do
goalie?
I do want to get into that with Sam because but I want to let him answer that question first.
Sorry.
I mean, I guess you could say maybe some of that. So I do follow the stats, but I always try to preach, like on the show, I think the complete game of hockey is a combination of the stats and the eye test. I've always thought that it's a combination. You can't rely too much on what's on paper. Can't rely too much on the eye test. But I think if you look at the eye test, there were some very glaring turnovers and some defensive duds there on the ice. So
if that's what you're worried about, Sam, I don't have to say it.
Yeah.
Keandre is the king of the turnovers, so good luck.
Again, cautious.
But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for Morrow. I mean, it seems like he was really good in the AHL, so it'll be fun if he makes the Rangers this year, when they kind of go head to head. I'm sure it's going to be, the games are going to have that extra juice this year between Keandre and him.
I mean, with all due respect, he led up to 5 goals against what team?
Florida.
Yeah.
Right. With all due respect, and I say that with all due respect because you're allowed to say that. If he got thrown into that series and he had to play against Florida made Bouchard look horrible. They made a lot of defensemen look horrible.
They did.
So I'm not going to pin those 5 goals on him because that's a ball of fire that you're thrown into, and that's not an easy one. Obviously, they steamrolled everybody. Darnell Nurse, who's always a quote-unquote Norris Trophy candidate, looked horrible. They were relentless last year. That was a tough team to play against in the playoffs.
Yeah, no one can compete against Florida right now.
No, I'm not going to base his success or his analytics from that series by no means.
Well, they were good though, Coach. That was my point. They were actually good.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
that's what I was saying to him, that he was on the ice for 5 goals against, but his analytics are actually good, meaning that he was on the ice. When he was on the ice, Carolina had 8 high danger chances, 4 about to score, and only gave up 3 against. But even despite not giving up much defensively, they still gave up 5 goals, which was my conclusion, that the goaltending that was giving up goals that probably shouldn't have.
Well, you can't base that conclusion, PJ, again, with all due respect, without watching those goals. Well, it could be a tap in on the back. It could be a tap in on the back end, but the guy wasn't covered. That's not a high danger chance.
It is technically though, Coach, because it's where it is on the ice, where the shot. That's how they rate that.
So let's forget the analytics. I can't have this. I don't want to waste Sam's time with this.
No, I was just curious. Because I think that's what I read when the Rangers got Morrow, was that he struggled in the playoffs because he was on the ice for 5. But then when you dig deep, it didn't look as bad as what just the raw numbers looked like, which is interesting. I was just curious.
Right.
Everybody was saying Scott Morrow was bad, though, after that game. Everybody.
Fair enough. But, yeah, I'm curious to see him, though. I think, I was kind of surprised they gave up on him. Not that they, like you said, I think they had a lot of D in front of him anyway. But it'll definitely I think 3 or 4 years, it'll be curious to see where these teams are and how to reevaluate the trade.
Again, I can respect that the fans were all over the kid. But you have Paul Maurice as the head coach. You have Marchand out there, Sam Bennett. They were probably licking their chops saying, let's just go after this kid.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure. Look,
and he's a rookie.
Right. If I'm a coach and I see that, let's just get it in his side. That's going to be a strategy. Yep. Obviously, So throw that into the mix too, where you have a team that's just going to go after the bleeding prey. You know what I'm saying? They're just going to keep going. And once you let up the one or two, now the mental game just becomes even crazier for a young kid. That's not easy at that speed. But anyway, what do you got next, PJ?
I was going to say for the audio listeners, a little Ed changed hats and went to his Rivalry Tour routine.
Yep.
Repping the other side.
Yeah, I did this for Gaz. I know Gaz in the chat's a big hat collector and jersey collector. So kind of my thing is whenever Coach Ed and I go to another arena for a Ranger game, I buy the opposing team's hat. But I only wear certain teams. There's certain teams that I refuse to wear. They're just a collector's item. And I'm not going to lie, this feels a little bit uncomfortable. So I just wanted to throw it on for you, Sam, real quick. But I'm going to take it off because I can't do it any longer. So that'll be it. It's a lovely hat, though. It's a nice black Hurricanes Fanatics hat. Got it at what's the name of the arena in Raleigh? I'm drawing a blank on that.
Lenovo's.
I don't think it was called that when I was there, though. Is that a recent name change?
It is. It's been called PNC and RBC back in the day.
I think it was RBC when I was there. Yeah. How long ago was that?
That was quite some time ago. That was probably at the turn of 2010, 2012. I could be wrong.
Okay, so then it was. I think it was during COVID, and there's Coach Ed with his Whalers hat that he got that trip. I think it was like not during COVID, right after COVID, Coach, or right before. I think it was right before because I think the world shut down like soon after we got home from that trip.
I think it was soon after. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put the Hurricanes hat in the background for now.
Well, I appreciate you wearing that because I would not touch anything when it comes to Rangers gear. So,
well, I said to PJ while we were off the air last week or whatever, no Islanders, Devils. I mean, I have a Flyers hat, but it's technically a gritty hat, so I'll be wearing that in our Flyers episode this year. So, like, there's certain teams that I can't, and the Hurricanes aren't quite there yet. I mean, us Ranger fans, I mean, we always make a joke about it in the chat. Like, the Hurricanes just don't scare us. And the reason why is that's my transition there is because you guys just can't seem to get that like game changer, right? I mean, that's obviously been the reputation of the Hurricanes over the years. You just don't have that player that really scares you. I mean, other than Slavin on defense, you're not going to really get much past him, but there's no player on offense that really scares you. Obviously, they tried to get that with Rantanen last year. It didn't work out. We don't really have to go into that because very weird situation. But I mean, you got Nikolai Ehlers over the offseason or very soon around the trade deadline, I think, or whatever. Not the trade deadline, the free agency. So you got Nikolai Ehlers. Does that satisfy you in any way, or do you think you want more? You need more up front?
So the addition of Ehlers, I've always thought was a player. I mean, you cannot deny skill if it's knocking out your door. So I love the addition of Ehlers. He's, I think, a great player. Can't wait to see him in Hurricanes jersey. But he wasn't really a need. And the Hurricanes' biggest need, I would say, is a second-line center. And from what I found out tonight, it seems like Logan Stankoven might be the person to play the second-line center job.
Has he played center?
He played center with Dallas.
Oh, okay. I thought he was a winger, but interesting.
Daily Faceoff has him listed on the wing right now, and they have Jarvis as the second line center. Which, hey, listen, nothing away from Jarvis. I think he's a phenomenal player. I love his playing style, but I don't necessarily see him as a second line center. So you're saying that, or you're thinking that Stankoven's going to take that spot?
Yes, because Brendan Moore said that like right before it came on. So.
Oh, okay, cool. Yep. Yeah, so I'm glad you watched that right before you came on. So, I mean, any other insight on the offense then you could share with us from that interview?
So
before I keep asking you questions that you already know the answer to.
That was the only big thing was the second line center position. He was asked about Jarvis. He was just like, "Listen, Jarvis plays so good with Aho.
You could put him anywhere."
Those two players so great. So he's a little bit more hesitant putting Jarvis as second line center than with Stankoven, which I understand.
So you think you said Jarvis plays with Aho?
Yes, he does. He
so,
plays.
So
with
you
Aho
think he'll be
well.
on the? So you'll think he'll be on the first line right wing with him and Ehlers?
Yes, I do.
Ehlers. I say Ehlers. But I guess it's
It's
Ehlers.
Ehlers, yeah.
Ehlers. Okay. So okay, that's a. I mean, I see him as a winger. Like I said, I wouldn't see Jarvis as a second line center, but I could definitely see. I like that style of him being like that. Like that, like first guy in type of thing, like the forecheck. I mean, I love that playing style. One guy making room for the other two, a little bit more skilled guys. So, I mean, I hate to say it, but I see that being pretty successful as a first line. But after that, it seems like that's pretty top heavy. What are we looking at for the rest of the offensive core?
Well, I think the second line, and I think that's probably because if Stankoven is going to be a second line center, I mean, this dude is a small dude. He's 5'8". Now, you've had small players in the NHL play very good. I think a great example is Braden Point. He's small, but he plays very, very good. And I see Stankoven playing as that second line center, but I really think, again, because, I mean, we saw with Florida, size is huge in the NHL. It just is. So, Svetch, Stankoven, and Taylor Hall, I think, is going to be probably on the second line because Hall and Svetch are two big dudes. Hall, does he play physical? Not really. But Svetch, he does. He can play physical. So I can see that being second line. And then we have I know Brittamore doesn't like to label his lines, but again, this is just how I see it. I think the third scoring line is going to be Eric Robinson, who had revelation for us, over 30 points with us, along with KK and Jackson Blake, who was a rookie this past season. He did really well. So that's
Got a
our
big
third
contract, right?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a very good contract. That guy, he plays fantastic. And then I think the fourth line is going to be a shutdown line. I've always thought if you have Jordan Stahl, I've always thought Jordan Stahl is one of the best defensive centers right now. He's that good. But if you can have Jordan Stahl, Jordan Martinook, William Carrier, those are guys that don't have lots of skill, but boy, their work ethic is shown so much. That can be a very good shutdown line against the other team's top lines. So that's how I see the forward core.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the second line center because I know for a while it seemed like they were going to keep putting Kotkaniemi up there, but it didn't seem like he fit at all. But the Stankoven thing will be interesting because it does make their lineup deeper if that's the case.
How you guys feel about Keandre Miller is how I feel about KK.
I can see that.
I don't know.
I can see that.
I don't know.
I can see him being a very frustrating player to watch every night, I should say.
Especially after doing the offer sheet and giving him more money than he probably deserved.
Yeah,
sure.
Getting back to Ehlers, I would think from the outside looking in that Brindamore seems to have a hands-on say on who they get and who they're going after and what kind of players. I would think he saw something that he wanted in that kind of player. I don't think they would have gotten him. Is that the way it usually works there?
It usually is. And another thing that I got from the Brindamore interview, he actually said that he talks with Eric Tulsky, Tom Dundon about these things. Now, he says for the majority of these issues, they do agree, but there are minorities where they disagree. And it's just also the mindset too. Like we have a GM who has like 26 patents. He graduated from, I think, Yale. He's a smart dude. So you have a analytically driven GM to a guy who relies mostly on the eye test and Rod Brindamore. And when I see that, I'm like, that could be a good combination there. So, I mean, we'll see how that works out.
That'd be like Cousin Ed being the GM of my team.
Exactly. I was just thinking the same thing. I don't know. Cousin Ed's usually our host. He's on paternity leave, so I've been hosting our summer shows. But when you come back on mid-season, you'll meet Cousin Ed.
Okay.
What'd you say, Coach?
About being married to an opposite and stuff, but I don't know if that eye test thing always works with a GM that's analytical. That'd be a difficult one.
It's got to be some headbutting a little bit in the room. I mean, I'm sure Brindamore is a respectable guy or respectful guy, but I can't see him just being like, all right, like Coach always does. All right, enough, PJ, with the analytics. I can't do it right now. Like he's got to come in after a loss and just be like, not right now.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to imitate Brendan Moore because if you look at him, he could kill anyone.
Oh, he's a scary dude, man. And he looks like he can still play. He's in the best shape,
like
probably better shape than anyone on the team.
Guy in interviews, though.
Oh, yeah. That's why I'm saying he's a respectful guy, but at times I'm sure he could snap or just be like, I can't do it right now.
He has snapped. He snapped against the refs multiple times.
Oh, yeah.
He's
he definitely
yelling
gets heated in the middle of the game for sure. For sure.
But
he's not that Tortorella type where he's going to give it to a media guy, I don't think, unless maybe there are some clips out there.
Well, I mean, I like seeing that because it shows the passion coming from these coaches. And when it comes to we all have our opinion on officials and all that type of stuff. But I think in the NHL, there needs to be some allowance for venting for these coaches. You're playing 82 games a season. You're going to get frustrated.
Yeah. Yeah. You're babysitting a bunch of grown men playing an activity. I mean, let's be real.
Yeah.
Trying to wrangle a lot of egos, which Coach Ed always harps on. It's very hard to all these guys on your team have been the best player on their team at one point in their lives, so it's got to be hard to try to put together the whole team as a unit. And Brendan Moore does do a great job at it, but so far he's not able to get over the hump, and hopefully he doesn't anytime soon. PJ, what do you got?
I wanted to ask about Tulsky real quick because I know he got thrown in there, and like you said, he ran. I think it was a big time analytics site.
Yeah,
back when he was on the internet, on Twitter, and he was huge. And they scooped him up from there. And I'm just curious what your thoughts, because I know he's made some bold moves. I know Little Ed touched on the Rantanen trade, which I know you don't want to dive into, but I'm curious on your thoughts on that. But just as a whole, have you liked what he's done there?
I have. And the reason why, listen, you try to take a big swing at Rantanen. And I'm like, what? The way I see it, that's part of a general manager's job is to take risks. Did it work out? No. And sometimes it's just not going to work out. That's just reality. I hate it, but that's just reality. But the way he recouped from that trade, obviously, you look at that trade from Colorado. He basically had to give up Martin Hs and Jack Drury and a couple of picks. Not to mention, he got Taylor Hall as well in that 3-team trade. So you basically, in that trade, gave up Natchez and I believe a 3rd-round pick and Jack Drury for Logan Stankoven, Taylor Hall, Keandre Miller. Again, we'll see how he does. A 1st-round pick and a 3rd-round pick from Dallas. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, he definitely recouped because it was, he almost it could have been ugly there because if they would have went and not got anything back from Rantanen and he just left, then you're kind of left with nothing at the end of the day. So, yeah, and Stankoven had a really good playoffs, I thought, for them.
And I was surprised they even got that return because obviously they have no leverage there. It was pretty known that he didn't want to be there, right? So, you got to tip your cap to him. And we see it a lot with Drury where it seems like the Rangers never have the leverage trying to get rid of some of these guys, and he always ends up surprising us. So it's nice to see that you feel the same way about your GM. What
do you guys think of Chris Drury as GM? I know a lot of people are going to probably give some blame on Drury on the whole Kreider situation. What do you guys think there?
I could start. I'm one of a more Drury. I would put myself as a Drury defender more than some guy that hates him. He definitely has his fair share of bad moves, no doubt, but his thought process last year was right. To get rid of Trouba and Goodrow to kind of, give them more flexibility and guys that were kind of, especially Trouba was really struggling, were the right thought. Maybe did he go about it the right way? No. But at the end of the day, he noticed the core, everything wasn't working and recognized it and did his job to put his stamp on it. Now we'll see at the if it all works out. I mean, there's certainly some risky moves he's made, but he's definitely revamped the team and set themselves up, brought in Sullivan. So we'll see. But I'm like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'll put it that way.
I mean, I love Drury as a GM. I mean, I don't want to get too into it because we talk, I feel like, ad nauseum about this stuff. But I like Drury as a GM. I feel like he knows what it takes to win. He had some growing pains in the beginning, but he was also kind of given a tough hand to start with the previous management. And like I just said, like I feel like he surprises us a lot of time with like some of these trades, or at least the return that we get. So yeah, I mean, I have no issues with Drury as GM. Coach?
Yeah, I just feel like I love Gallant, I love Laviolette as coaches. I just think that the GM, for the team to hit that high note, has to be on the same page with the coach. And I feel that Sullivan and Drury are heading in that direction. So what you're saying before about those, that analytics guy and the guy that's the eye test guy, like with Tortorella and Philly, after a while, something's got to give. Because I hate to keep using Florida as an example, but you listen to that GM talk, he's getting the guys that you need to perform in the right spot. It's not always about the analytics. To me, it's more about analytics and what team you were on and situation. There's a lot more to analytics than just saying it's XYZ. And I think that GM in Florida, what's his name? Zito?
Yeah, Bill Zito.
And Paul Maurice just came together like the perfect storm with the right players, and the players bought, it's all got to come together in any sport. It's all got to come together. And I just feel like Sullivan and Drury are a pretty good match.
I will admit, when you guys got Sullivan, I was like, man, you guys are getting a really good coach.
This guy's a good coach. He was good when he was an assistant with the Rangers. He was a good assistant.
He seems, and you probably heard us backstage. I mean, he seems reinvigorated, after some bad years in Pittsburgh to end and to kind of get back on the winning side, because he's a really competitive guy. So I'm definitely excited about that. I wanted to ask, I'm curious of what another team or outsider thinks of the Rangers. I mean, obviously last year was a shit show, but just in general, like your opinion is them when you see them on, in the playoffs, or you see them, up on the schedule. What are your thoughts? Like, oh no, or?
Oh, I say, oh no, instantly. And the biggest reason why is because I don't know if you guys noticed this when you're playing at Carolina, but there is lots of Rangers fans at these Hurricane games. And now it's not like what it was, let's say 10 years ago when the Hurricanes were on that huge playoff trail. Like you could say that was a Rangers arena whenever the Rangers came to play. But I think that's a huge part of it. It's just the fact that, I mean, Lenovo is the Hurricane Stadium. And I think a lot of Hurricane fans are like, why are there so many Rangers fans here? So I think that's part of it. And also, I think another part of it is I think the goaltending that you guys have, whether it's Lundqvist, whether it's Shesterkin, has always been good against us. Just always been.
Yeah, it seems like I'm the goalie guy on this podcast, and it seems like the way the Hurricanes play with this funneling tons of shots towards the net feeds into Lundqvist and Igor. It really does. Igor has said it where he likes facing a lot of shots. So the Hurricanes will shoot so many pucks on net that he gets warmed up quick. And I think Igor's record when he faces over 40 shots a game, he's only lost like once.
Lundqvist has said something similar where it like makes him focus even more, and it just gets him involved in the game very quickly.
Yeah, less thinking.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind the amount of shots, but you also have to, I would say, focus more on quality shots than quantity as well.
100%. And I mean, this is the rivalry tour after all. So, the Rangers always debate who are their main rivals. Is it Jersey? Is it Philly sometimes? Is it the Islanders? Is it, for the Hurricanes, where do you rank the Rangers on the Rivals, or is there someone even bigger for them?
I would say right now, number one is probably the Rangers. And I mean, here's the thing. I know every team has their own bad share of fans, but there are just some fans at Lenovo where I'm just like, man, ugh, getting a little bit irritating right now. A little bit irritating.
I mean, there's
well,
plenty of
there's a
Rangers.
reason. There's a reason why they don't live in New York anymore, because we didn't want them either, Sam. So they moved down to North Carolina.
Well, I got to
That's
say,
where
when
I
we
live.
were there, we weren't that kind of an arrogant fan. The Rangers did win, but it was nice to pay like $100 for the 5th row seat behind the net. So
Yeah, probably less than that, maybe $100 combined, but no, for
But,
sure.
you know, I
We
gotta
definitely
say-
gotta get down there again.
most arenas we go to, the fans are very hospitable when wearing the other team's jersey, other than Philadelphia.
Definitely.
Fair.
Every arena we go to, Toronto was great, Boston was great, Nashville was great. Boston's a big rival, but you didn't feel like you were threatened, and obviously Carolina. My question is, did you sell any of your playoff tickets? Didn't they make it a mandate where you couldn't sell playoff tickets to the Ranger fans that one year?
They might
Something
have.
like that.
I can't remember because I do remember that year where we got eliminated from you guys, which I thought that was going to go to 7 games. I seriously did, but
I think we
I
were
was
surprised
nervous.
too, because the Rangers really showed up in Game 6.
Yeah, Kreider, we should say.
Yeah,
That third period. Yeah, because it was Hurricanes started coming, and they would have went to Game 7. I don't know if the Rangers would have won. They would have been so much pressure at MSG. I don't even think like the fans would have been excited. We would just sitting there with our ass clenched the whole game. But
it usually happens either way.
fair.
yeah, what's interesting about that playoff series that I remembered, like to me, the player that actually stuck out to me for you guys that I was like, wow, he's doing really good, was Keandre Miller. I thought he was really good in that playoff series.
That's when I was optimistic after that year. When they went to the conference finals, he had a great playoff run. I'm like, this guy could get 15 to 20 goals next year. And he just shut it down.
That might have been your bold
My other
prediction.
question to you is on Little Ed's notes. Any Instagram posts with Keandre and his girlfriend yet down on the beaches in Carolina or anything?
No, I think they're right now. They're in they're in Italy, I think.
Oh, okay. I see he's concerned about getting ready for the season.
He got his bag.
Yep.
He's good. But I don't want to keep you too much longer, Sam. I appreciate all your time. What's your forecast for the Hurricanes this season? I mean,
PJ with the play on words.
I actually didn't even plan for that. That actually just came natural. I'll take it. But it seemed to me as the division favorite. I mean, do you feel like they made enough moves to kind of get over that hump? Because it seems like every year they are like a betting favorite, or everyone's darling to make the final. But whether it's goaltending or something else, something keeps it from happening. So what do you think going in this year?
So I do want to talk about the goaltending. I think as long as Anderson is healthy, we have a chance. But when it comes to the forecast for the Hurricanes in general, I mean, I look at the Metro division. I mean, I will admit, I was a bit surprised the Rangers fell out of the playoffs for last year. Just
We
the
all
way
were.
that went. But I think the Hurricanes are probably going to be the divisional winners. I think New Jersey's going to be a playoff team. But I think after that, I think the Rangers are going to be in the mix for the 3rd spot. I think a team that I could see make the playoffs, and I'd love to see them in the playoffs just because their track record isn't good, but Columbus. I could see Columbus making the playoffs, but I just think the Metro division as a whole it's not really the best division. I think the best division is clearly the Atlantic division. I think it's just a lot of teams in the Metro from, I would say, probably outsiders that just view, okay, Carolina's probably going to win division. New Jersey's going to be in there. Then it's after that, a lot of mediocre teams. I think that's how a lot of outsiders view it.
No,
Who do you predict? I think usually we ask all of our guests for the rivalry tour. Where do you predict Carolina finishing in the Metro, and where do you predict the Rangers finishing in the Metro this season?
I predict Carolina finish first. I predict the Rangers to finish third, just because I still think you guys have a really good team. My only question with the Rangers,
So who do you
I
got
would say
second?
New
Devils?
Jersey. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
he's not wrong. I would probably have the same thing. I think Washington's going to fall back to earth a little bit.
Washington wasn't the same after Ovechkin beat his record.
Right. And
Yeah.
everything went perfectly for them, especially early on. I mean, everybody had career years. Like, no, they had no injury. Everything just went to perfection. It's hard to get that again. They had just a perfect mix going on.
Well, we'll definitely get into our predictions in the our predictions episode, I guess, before the season starts. But yeah, that's interesting to hear that you have the Devils over the Rangers this year. So we'll see what happens.
It depends on Jack Drury. It depends if he's healthy. If he's not, no.
Jack Hughes.
Or sorry, Jack Hughes. Who did I say?
Yeah, for sure.
You're thinking of your old buddy, Jack Jury.
Oh,
Chris
sorry.
And then one last question, I guess, for me, unless you guys have another one before we let you go, is we usually have our shout out to Mikey 150. We do like a little fantasy segment every show where like whenever we have our own fantasy league, which you're welcome to join this year if you want. We'll send you an invite when we get that going. But we have our own fantasy league, and Mikey 150 comes on every week to update what's going on in the fantasy world. So give us one player from the Hurricanes that's a sleeper pick for our fantasy hockey players out there. Not the obvious ones like Aho, Slavin, blah, blah, blah. We need a sleeper pick, a late round fantasy draft pick from Sam Wallace of the Caniac Report.
Don't say Keandre.
And do not say Keandre, because that you'll be throwing our players under the bus.
No, I'm not saying. To me, the player that I would pick up in the late rounds, Jackson Blake. Just watch a few highlight reels of Blake. He's really good.
In terms of what's fantasy stat are we talking here?
Oh,
like what would be his specialty? Hits, block shots. You know what I'm trying to say. Like when I say sleeper, you're not going to see a lot of goals from this guy, I assume, or maybe you will. You tell me.
I say sleeper as in I think he can be a breakthrough type of player because he only got 17 goals this past season, but he was a rookie. There was no expectation for him.
That's pretty damn good for a rookie.
Only 17 goals. That's a nice season.
Yeah,
as a rookie, that's a very good season. All right, so yeah, I'll take that. That's a very good explanation on that. You guys got anything else for Sam before we let him plug his shows again? I see we got a lot of new viewers from when he got on, so we'll let him plug his shows. But any last questions?
No,
great job, Sam.
Yeah, great. I appreciate your time very much and coming on.
Again.
Yeah, no problem. Again, so the Caniac Report, we're on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, whatever. Follow us on Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok, X, and if you do, I really appreciate it.
For sure, man. Well, you definitely got a follow from us recently, and hopefully our fans will give you the same respect. So definitely go follow us, everyone in the chat, watching on YouTube, listening on all the audio platforms. And if you're listening to us as well and you're a fan of Sam's, toss us a follow. We'd love to have you guys and hear your thoughts as Hurricane fans as well. So trying to create a little community here, and we'd love to have you back on, Sam. It was a pleasure. And we'll, like I said, we'll definitely have you back on mid-season to see the update on the Keandre situation, and looking forward to playing you guys during the season. So let's go Rangers, and thanks again.
One other question: have you ever been up to the city, New York City, to the Garden for a game?
Not for a game, but I have been up in New York City once. I went up there on I believe it was senior trip in high school. But I really enjoyed it because I'm a huge music guy. Yeah, that's just part of me. And seeing Broadway up there, oh man, that was amazing. element.
Definitely a cool
It
experience.
really is. It really is. I mean, being from New York, it's hard to really appreciate the true beauties of the city and stuff with all the traffic and things that we have to deal with. But it truly is amazing. And if you ever make it back up here, definitely give us a shout and we'll figure something out. If you
Yeah,
want to come to a
definitely.
game, you could definitely get tickets with us or something.
I'd love to go to a Rangers game. Again, I really don't like the Rangers. That's just my opinion. But it'd be more for
Yeah.
for the arena's sake than the team's sake.
It is. It's
For sure.
You have to see it. It's iconic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Especially with the new renovations, you can come sit with me and Coach Ed up on the bridge, and it'll be a good time. No one will bother you up
I
there.
did get a tour of Madison Square Garden though when I was up there, so I thought that was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I've ever done that, so good for you.
Yes, you have done. You have done it, Ed. You were probably about 8 years old. Bill Guerin shook your hand. They were playing the Devils on President's Day.
There you go.
We were down by the locker room, and Guerin came out just to see something in the hallway, and he shook our hands.
Wow, is that the
You
only?
You might have been younger than that. He was on the Devils at the time. They were playing the Devils on President's Day.
Have you guys met any of the players?
No, I don't even remember that story. Met them? I mean, I guess
none of the current ones. Mostly the alumni are very friendly and in the crowd a lot. Graves, Matteau.
I met Graves on the elevator one time, and we've met them at like events and stuff, but I guess like just as civilians on the street, no, not really.
I have a few. I actually talked to Panarin for like 5 minutes at a hotel once. And
really? Wow.
Yeah, and it's funny because he always jokes doesn't speak English, and his English could not be better. But everyone I've met,
that's good to know.
I also interned with the Rangers back in 2010.
Oh, you did? So, wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. So I was in the locker room all the time. So I mean, I didn't like hang out with them, but I was around them in Torts all the time. So it was surreal.
PJ was actually the guy that Panarin stole the cell phone from, and at the hotel. You didn't hear that story about him stealing the PR person's cell phone or whatever?
I think I did hear that. I think I did.
Not his most shining moment, but we won't have to get into that. But Sam, thanks again for coming on the show.
No problem.
It was a pleasure having you, and we look forward to having you on again. Good luck with your show this season, but not good luck to the Hurricanes. I'm sorry, and we'll talk to you soon, bud.
Same back to you.
All right, good night, Sam.
Good night, buddy. Well, that was Sam Wallace from the Caniac Report. That was a good, insightful interview or hangout sesh for the Rivalry Tour. If you guys, fans, if you haven't been down to Raleigh for a game, it's a great atmosphere. I mean, it's a different atmosphere than MSG, of course, but very fan-friendly down there. The arena itself is very nice. And like I said, it's a really cool tailgating atmosphere, which we don't get as Ranger fans. I mean, we get to like hang out on the train and stuff sometimes. But we're at a bar in New York City. But tailgating, to me, nothing beats that. That's always fun before a hockey game or before any kind of sporting event, concert, whatever. So good stuff there down in Carolina. And, Sam, good luck, like I said, on your show. And hopefully we'll make some more content together soon.
Yeah, I'm curious, like that mid-season kind of where we are at. We're going to know a lot more on both sides, whether it's just doing how Morrow's doing. So definitely some good insight there.
It's very interesting as like a fan right now, as a Ranger fan, because last year going into these interviews, we were so cocky. We were so like, oh, the Rangers are going to win the division again, blah, blah, blah. Now it's like, what's going to happen? We'll see, like. It was
I was remaking some clips as like teasers for our next guest coming on that were on last year, and the tone was so different.
I know, right? It's crazy. It's crazy. So
you know what? I was thinking of a good analogy, PJ. You see the movie Moneyball?
Yes.
Okay. That was when analytics kind of took off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you notice any similarities between the Oakland A's and Carolina?
I actually do. Yeah.
What's the similarity?
The GM being analytically driven.
No,
and the coach being
the results. They're always competitive.
Right.
But they can
without spending a lot. Yeah. Yep. 100% agree.
They put fans in the seats because they're competitive playoff runs over and over. But you need that Brad Marchand eye test player to get over the hump.
Yep.
It's not always about that. You can't rely on it 100%.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's definitely been their missing ingredient, no doubt about it. Which is why when they got Rantanen, I was like, oh boy, there it is. But then it didn't work.
Exactly. So I'm shocked that they couldn't hold on to that, but
yeah, it was such an interesting debate. If I was a Hurricanes fan, like, would you want to, even though it was maybe not going to re-sign, did you want to keep him for the run? Because they could have really used him in that series versus Florida. But I guess if he wasn't a fit and he wasn't happy, I guess it just cut bait.
There has to be more to it than we saw, right? Because he doesn't seem, if he didn't want to be there, he was probably not good in the locker room. You know, he's probably on his own a lot, you know. And that's not a good mix either.
Yeah, I thought it would work well because Aho's Finnish like he is, so they were buddies. So I thought that would I think that's what they thought too. It would kind of be a perfect.
We didn't ask him about Jesby retiring.
Oh man!
Oh yeah, because he just became their player development coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, whatever. Like I said, we'll have him back on. I think we kind of say it every year that we want to have like a mid-season like update from our guests. So maybe this year we should definitely do it. We'll definitely have some time actually during the Olympics.
I was just about to say that. Like 2 or 3 weeks there. That could be perfect.
Well, that'd be good. We have to talk about how Keandre's doing.
Yeah, so I think let's definitely now that we have a full-time producer on board, I think we can definitely make that happen and put that on the schedule sooner rather than later for you fans. I think that'd be interesting.
Definitely.
And that's perfect episodes to fill that little bit of a lull we have.
So now there's 3 teams that are like packed with ex-Rangers, right? First it was Tampa, right? Then it was Carolina. Now the Ducks.
Yep.
There's like 3 warm weather teams that they ship them off to.
The Orange County Rangers out there.
Yeah, 2022 Rangers over there.
Yeah. So,
but
good stuff.
I know we're pushing an hour and a half, but do you want to quickly pull that pin out of that conversation pre-Sam?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a little bit of a segue, like kind of like you guys were saying, you kind of need a mix of that star power and that Moneyball attitude. And to me, like the Rangers have the star power up front. They got the top 6 kind of, I mean, other than a few missing pieces we were kind of arguing about before, it seems like the top 6 is somewhat solidified. So now you got to rely on like that 3rd and 4th line to fill in with these young guys. And Coach Ed is big on earning the spot. I agree. I mean, even if they have a big training camp and a good preseason, are you really going to like have that much trust with them on the first line when it comes down to like an actual NHL regular season game? And then I wanted to touch on the 3rd line, not having much trust in Parsnips. Why did we have so much trust in Hedl as a 3rd line center? To me, it's almost the exact same thing. I know Cousin Ed's going to chirp me a little bit on that take, and I'm sure PJ, you might as well. But to me, there's no difference there. Hedl was always a huge question mark in terms of staying healthy and in terms of his production. So what's the difference between giving another guy a shot, similar situation as Hedl, and then hopefully Chris Drury, if it doesn't work out, can fill in that spot? You know, like just because it's not the off season or it's not the trade deadline, you can still make trades at any point during the season. So hopefully it all works out where he doesn't have to. But you know, you always have that leverage where they have some good pieces where they can move for an actual 3rd line center.
Yeah, well, they do have 2 first-round picks, so if they do have a good season, they're going to be loaded with assets to make some moves. So, and again, to make your point about
what did she say? I missed it.
She said,
PJ, you got to leave these comments up a little bit longer sometimes.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
But I was going to say about the 3rd line, the valid point I guess I can look on if I'm looking on the positive side is 2 seasons ago when the Rangers had their best season in history, Hedl was hurt, in game 10? So they basically went that entire season without a 3rd center until they got Wemberg. So they were able to, do well without him there. So I guess with the top heavy, they can make it work. But
I think with Radish and Carrick, also you got two willing or 2 pretty good guys there, right? No?
Right.
Sorry,
Well, yeah,
what were you gonna
Carrick
say?
I mean, Radish will definitely be on third line. But the only argument for me with having, I know Coach Ed was saying you're wasting Trocheck in a third line spot, but I think the argument would be if you can have a line of Trocheck, Radish, and either Berard or Othman, that's a mean pain in the ass, or Parsonen. That's a mean, big pain in the ass line to play against. You can put against other teams' top lines as a shutdown line, which the Rangers have never had in a while. So I think that's the only argument.
Well, you just answered your own question. Would you rather have that? Would you rather have Trocheck with Panarin, Trocheck getting another 30 goals? 2 years
Yeah, but
ago.
he still could produce if he plays penalty kill and power play. He'll still
You're not going to get the ice time that you're not going to get the ice time that you would as a second line center.
Yeah, but they are.
Not
I mean,
it's the reality.
You can't argue they're much deeper though with they're lined up. Mika or JT, Mika, Trocheck. You can't. It's inarguable. That's a better set of centers ultimately. But
yeah, but you're putting Trocheck in a center position with question marks on the wings, as opposed to Trocheck with Panarin on the wing, where there's going to be points.
Yeah, well, it'll be a different role.
It's going to be opportunity.
A lot of people forget that was going to be Trocheck's spot in 2024. Hedel was the second center until he got hurt. Hedel was playing with Panarin and Lafreniere. So, and then speaking of Hedel, I have to, with Cousin Ed, defend the difference between Hedel and Parson is Hedel was a first-round pick and more pedigree. Parsonen has been a scratch on 3 different teams. And Hedel, while yes, he couldn't stay healthy, he had production, whether it was in the playoffs and in that 22-23 year during the contract. So I expected more from him, way more than what I would expect from Parsonen.
Let me
up here. You're muted, little Ed.
Well, you guys keep muting me.
Well, I was muting you earlier, Coach, because you had some feedback
I got you.
On your background.
Let me ask you this question: was Sam Bennett always a top player in the league?
Well, he was a 5th overall pick. He was supposed to be.
Was he successful all the time?
Not in the regular season, but in the playoffs he was.
Well, now all of a sudden he just signed an $8.5 million contract. So some players, like you say, Parsonen hasn't been successful. Look, I'm not saying the guy's going to be a savior, but sometimes in an environment with a coach, he could fit a potential to fill a spot and be successful. And then all of a sudden you'd be like, where did we get this guy from?
No, I hope they could use some luck like that.
I seen him last year, and I watched him live a few times, the guy plays hard in the corners, puts himself in a position to score, and he did pretty good as a 3rd, 4th line player. I'm not saying he's going to develop into a 1st, 2nd line player. Talking about a role that we need. He could fill that spot.
Yep, it'll be an interesting camp. There's no question about it.
Yeah, and if one of those other guys comes out and has a great camp, I'll be the first to say, put him on the 2nd line. I'm fine with it. But don't just say we're putting him there. Don't say Meek is taking his spot, because if the guy does that well, then I'm sure Sullivan will say maybe we could do this.
Right?
Maybe they see something else. He hasn't seen them in action yet.
Oh yeah, I wasn't gifted in the spot. My whole point was just there's open spots for competition. Now you're leaving 3 guys for 1 spot potentially. So we'll see, but it should be a fun camp. There's no question.
Yeah, it should be interesting. They got a lot of players that are ready to make moves, so we'll see.
I'll say the last piece of that Dan Rosen article I wanted to touch on was the Will Cooley factor. I mean, Sullivan raved about the quote he had about him, essentially saying that he was going to replace a lot of Kreider's minutes and production. And then he's been rewatching all the Rangers games and just kind of like we said, the compete level and going to the dirty areas. Sullivan seems really impressed with Cooley and basically said he's got that top 6 spot locked up.
Cooley's a player. I was thinking about this before. As a player, it's a coach's dream. I mean, he's that player that'll be on the bench. If he makes a mistake early in the game, it's someone that you could talk to on the side and be like, listen, you can't do that. And he'll never make the mistake again. Or if you tell him something specific to go out and do on the next shift, he's not going to yes you to death. He's going to go out there and actually do it. He's the definition of a coachable player, and he's the definition of a hockey player of just doing the right things almost at all times. And you can't really ask much more from the kid. You know what I'm saying? In terms of that grit and that passion and desire to improve and to, like I said, keep saying this episode, go into the dirty areas below the goal line, wherever.
I mean, Cooley's also got that attitude like you were talking about. He'll go hit the other team's top player. He's not afraid. He'll defend himself. He'll defend his teammates. He'll put pucks in the net. He'll be in the top of the paint. He'll be checking in the corner. He'll do everything it takes, and that's definitely that's the rare player you're looking for. And I think he's only going to get better under this coach.
And he leads the league in putting the puck in the net and ending up on top of the net.
Remember that milestone moment? That was so good. He was not expecting that one.
Well, I see a lot of similarities with him and Kreider, and I do hope he's successful in replacing that Chris Kreider that we have. But I think the biggest difference between them is the consistency. And a Ranger fan came up to us. We did a lot of promotion for the podcast, so hopefully we have a lot of new listeners. But a Ranger fan came up to us in the tent and said, like, I'm going to miss Kreider, but honestly, his inconsistency was really starting to get on my nerves, and it seems like the right time. And I was like, honestly, dude, you couldn't have said it better than anyone. That was his biggest pet peeve, or as fans, our biggest pet peeve about him. And I said that in my rant when the trade did happen. And I think if Cooley replaces him on the power play and regulars and 5-on-5 minutes, that's the biggest thing that we're going to see a difference is the consistency, where he's going to be able to do it game in and game out and find a way to be effective. Like I said with JT Miller, if they're not going to score, if they're not going to put up points that game, they're going to find another way to be effective. Like Coach Ed just said, lay out the other team's best player. Do something like that. Take them out of their game where our stars or someone else can step up and put the puck in the net.
And you got Cooley doing it. You don't need JT Miller to do it. It takes a little pressure off of him to do everything. And Cooley just hits. That's one of the big differences between him and Kreider.
Yeah.
Cooley
Kreider started like that, but he's lost that physicality.
He never hit. He never knew how to hit. He was always awkward going in for the hit. I don't remember him ever being that physical personally.
No, not like that, but yeah.
Cooley hits. Cooley is a hockey player. He goes in and throws the body, shoots. He's complete. I don't think he's superstar potential, but he's a complete player.
And similar to what I was saying about Jarvis, he'll be that first guy in. He's going to create the time and space for Mika. And the biggest thing that we've been saying about Mika is like his lack of physicality. He doesn't have to be that physical playing with Cooley and Miller. That's for damn sure.
The best part about Mika on the wing, it's less responsibility and less skating for sure for him.
Without a doubt. So
I feel like there's definitely good things about Mika on the wing. I mean, the top six is fantastic, like we said, and if you get the best out of Mika, that makes the Rangers that much more dangerous. So I'll just be curious how the year goes on.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
For sure.
We got to have confidence in the staff, and just like we did the last 4 years, so we'll see what happens.
Yep.
Well, good first episode of the Rivalry Tour, boys. It was fun. Another shout out to Sam Wallace from the Caniac Report. Great job over there at the Hockey Pod Network. They're all friends of ours. We've been on their live streams and stuff. Neil Villapiano with the Devil's State of Mind will be on our episode. Who we got next week as the second stop of the Rivalry
That's
Tour?
Neil. Yeah, we got Neil from Devil's State of Mind on September. We're going to go back to Wednesdays. We wanted to make sure we got Sam on, so we went to a Monday for him, and then we'll be back on the Wednesday train September 3rd with Neil. Then we got the boys from Hockey Night New York, Sean and Stefan on the 10th, followed by Siobhan on the 17th, and wrapping it up is with Neil Belsky of the Tip of the Iceberg from Pittsburgh.
Nick Belsky. Did you say Neil?
I thought I said Nick, but yeah, Nick is correct.
I don't know. You're broken up a little bit there, but either way, yeah. So all those guys are great. We're really looking forward to every single one of those episodes. What'd you say?
I'll get my popcorn ready for the Neil Villapiano episode.
Yeah, we don't have to do much talking with good old Neil over there. We love that. We love that kid. Coach Ed will definitely give him a hard time. And Neil loves it. He loves Coach. He says he'll run through a wall for Coach if he ever played hockey. So looking forward to talking. Yeah, looking forward to talking to him next week. And I think Cousin Ed will be officially off of paternity leave next week. We'll see. So sorry if you guys were starting to get used to me being the host, but I will definitely be dropping back into the co-host position next week for stop number 2 of the Rivalry Tour in New Jersey. So we'll we'll see all of you guys next week. Shout out to everyone in the chat, our usual listeners, our viewers, and anyone who couldn't make it tonight. Mark from Blue Line Blue Shirts, I know you're not watching right now, but you'll be listening tomorrow morning. Thanks again for hooking me up with your buddy in Puerto Rico. And I look forward to my trip on Wednesday and staying in their nice Airbnb. So thanks again to everybody. Can't thank all you guys enough for supporting us and joining us tonight and all that good stuff. So love you guys. Let's go Rangers.
Ditto.
See you next week.
Good job,
Yep,
fellas.
all said. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Oh, and don't forget, if you guys want to come to the October 12th suite, reach out to us on Instagram or any of our social platforms. Or if you don't have social media, you can email us at rangers.ed1994@gmail.com. So we'd love to have all of you guys. It's a really good price. And like I said, we'll hook you up with some swag included in the price as well. And it's all you can eat food. We didn't mention that.
That's
In the
huge.
suite, there's all you can eat, like chicken fingers, hot dogs, popcorn, all that good stuff, and all you can drink water and soft drinks. And then they usually hook us up with, like, I don't think it's a discount on alcohol, but there's some kind of alcohol package that we can get, but we'll discuss that at a later date.
Yep.
So good
Well,
job, guys.
And more information out this week on it, probably.
For sure. Yeah. Official Instagram announcement will be coming this week. But all you listeners, definitely hop on the tickets because, like I said, they're going to go really fast once we officially put them on sale to all of our Instagram followers. So
I'd love to meet some of our listeners for sure.
Yep, for sure. Coach, what do you got?
That's it. Have a good time. Have a good week, everybody. Enjoy Labor Day. Have a good barbecue, and we'll see you in another week and a half.
Yes, sir. And
Awesome.
safe travels, little Ed.
Thank you, buddy. I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a
See
good
ya.
night.
Have a good night.